Morgan Reagan, if I would have told you
What?
that Ant and Randle would combine for 21 points, 10 turnovers on 6 of 20 shooting, that Minnesota would have 23 turnovers, and they would allow 24 second chance points, you would have said they lost by 30 tonight.
Yeah, sure.
We had a game.
We had a game.
In game 4, the Western Conference Finals, but it was OKC down the stretch, dude. Relentless. Just what they've been all year. They win this game 128 to 126 to take a commanding 3-1 lead back to OKC.
Yeah, they're pretty dominant. They know how to respond to everything. They know how to execute, whether it's a defensive plan on Ant.
Dude.
Hey, you're gonna Wallace, you're gonna take Ant for a second. Hey, Dort, you take him for a second. Oh, hey, we're gonna make sure second line of defense, we've Chet back there protecting the rim. Yeah, we're good. But it's not just like bodies were there, the intent of where their bodies were. The active hands, the relentlessness. I mean, that's exactly how you described them in the beginning of this. And for them to just do it everywhere it's pretty insane.
Well, that was my big question coming into this series. How was Minnesota going to handle that ball pressure of OKC?
Yes.
Because it's just a lot, especially game after game. The fatigue factor, did that play a role in tonight? Anthony Edwards ends up with 16 points. He had 5 turnovers, 6 assists, 4 rebounds, just 13 shots. He was 1 of 7 from downtown tonight. I felt like he had moments in the second half that were better.
Sure.
They were allowing, he was able to turn the corner, get into the paint. And like, if it was there at the rim, he was making the right decisions. I thought he was making the right decisions. But the reality is, this is what OKC wanted. OKC is going to bet if we could take Ant out and Randle doesn't go off, their role guys are not going to beat us. And tonight, it almost happened. But guess what?
Their plan ultimately worked.
It didn't.
Yeah.
It didn't. And this is a night where McDaniels has 22 and DiVincenzo has 21. Nikhil Alexander-Walker was awesome.
Well,
awesome.
As we get to those guys, really quick, going back to your other point about Ant, I'll never forget our preview. I'll never forget it. Our preview going into this series. And you were asking that question about Ant, like, oh man, that perimeter pressure, like, what is that going to do? Like, it feels like he's not going to get any shots. And we started making jokes about him going downhill and how like he's just going to get swallowed up in the paint, blah blah. This was finally that game where it wasn't
from the jump, dude.
It wasn't Ant not getting his shots. It wasn't Ant not being aggressive enough. It was literally OKC's defense. But at times, what it did do is exactly where you're kind of going with some of the other guys. The threat that Ant poses on a team's defense allowed some guys to be a little bit more open, or other guys, just to just be focused on Ant so other guys could still get theirs. And that's exactly what Minnesota's bench did.
Yeah, and I think Ant's going to learn a lot from this series. I think one of the things he's going to have to learn is to beat a team like this that has so many players like you just detailed that they could throw on you, okay, and bump you and play physical, you have to be in the elite of elite shape. And we're talking, and I'm not saying he's out of shape, but
fatigued was mentioned.
Yeah, I mean,
for good reason.
Yeah, and it's not a shot at him, but it's just like, all right, how do you get to the next level? How do you solve that? Part of it is that. Yeah. Part of it is like on a night like this, you just can't have Randle having a game like this, dude. Like, all right, Ant's getting all the attention. That's where you count. You try to count on someone like Julius Randle, who now 2 games in this series has been sitting for huge portions of the fourth quarter because other guys are playing better than him and he's just not effective.
Okay, so we do feel like in this game specifically for someone like Julius Randle, it wasn't just the defense, it was the combination of the defense and his style of play.
I don't know. Maybe it's just OKC's just this good. I mean, how many times I saw a Minnesota defender make the right play, put the ball on the floor to attack, and you've got, I think one time Hartenstein ripped the ball away from one of Minnesota's players, like just driving. Like they just make defensive plays. They're constantly digging. There's hands everywhere. They're bumping you. They're playing ultra physical. And tonight, they weren't calling shit.
That's what I wanted to get to. From the jump, I remember there was play after play where like, Isn't that usually deemed a foul? Isn't that deemed a foul? Like, I love when teams get to play physical. And I think that should happen throughout the entire NBA season and not just in the postseason. It's being called a different way. It should be throughout the season. But tonight, it felt like there were a lot of fouls happening. Calls weren't being called on both sides. And in some ways, I enjoyed the physicality. But then in other ways, I was like, wait, that's totally altering the way that these guys are playing.
Well, and that's the thing, right?
Yeah.
Like, it's one thing to be like, hey, there's physical play. Like, most of the playoffs we've watched this year, we've seen physical play. And I think most fans love this type of fire that they see from these NBA players. But it's just when there's like obvious shit where now you're sitting at home going, wait. If that's not a foul, what is?
Yeah.
Like, I actually, with Anthony Edwards, you're asking him to attack and trying to get into the paint, and he's going at the rim, and he's just getting pushed, just knocked down, no call. And it's like, oh, I mean, if he's not getting that call, I don't know what the hell you're going to get tonight.
I know. And I just keep going, okay, I guess you got to fight through it. Like something that the cliche thing that you say throughout the season, you got to fight through it. If the whistle isn't blowing, you got to keep playing through it. But there was moments tonight where I'm like, how are you supposed to play through that? And even mentally, it's going to shift your thinking of going to the basket because you're like, shit, how am I going to get anything to go? But at least Ant did finish with 6 assists. He did start to find
5
some
turnovers. You have to say at least. It
I
was
know.
a rough night, and they needed more from him to win this game. That's just it's tough. It's a numbers game, and even tonight, when you look at some of the numbers, the possession game.
Oh yeah.
There you go. 95 shots to 84.
Well, because throughout, again, going into half, we're like, okay, wait, both teams are shooting almost 50%. Both teams are shooting like 40% from 3, whatever it was at the half. Like the numbers were even and the numbers were efficient from both sides. But it just felt like what you just said. I remember I looked at the turnovers and I was like, the offensive rebounds, and both teams had 19 offensive rebounds. Second chance points, even Minnesota won. Yeah. But the second chance points and the offensive rebounds for OKC felt that much more impactful. And you do look at the possession game. Yeah,
it was massive. And I just, when you have 23 turnovers against OKC, I go, you're not winning that game.
Yeah.
And that's what's so wild about tonight is it sounds like the way we're talking, Minnesota lost by like 20. This was a great game tonight. It was really fun until the end. And I guess we can get to that now.
Yeah.
Morgan, I understand it. And I'm sure OKC fans will be in the comments about it. You don't have to explain it to me. I understand the foul. You're up 3, you foul, right? Okay.
I would have done the same thing that they did.
That's fine. We can all say, yeah, you do that. But like from just the end of that game should not have been that. And it's not saying that Dagnall's doing anything wrong. I am just suggesting that the NBA look at something like that because that's a playoff game. At the end, it's decided that way. Just a foul game. No one wants to see that shit. When you're up 3 and you're fouling, you know what you do? You go execute down the stretch and you go, how do you solve that? Here's one idea.
Oh, you actually already have an idea?
Oh, yeah. I'll bring the ideas.
Okay.
Here's one idea. Yeah. This is a little extreme. And you would never foul up 3 again.
You can't kill anyone, dude.
No.
Okay.
You foul like that?
Okay.
It's 2 shots and the ball.
But okay, whoa. You say you foul like that? What is that? What is deemed that?
If you're up 3 and you're fouling to prevent like a 3 instead of guarding, that's 2 free throws in the ball. Okay, that's extreme.
This is so cute. This is adorable.
I think it's Mo Khalil. I saw it on Twitter. Someone shared it in our Discord, and it's great. How about this?
What?
You foul in that situation, the team can decline the free throws. Decline the free throws and take possession. Like, no, we don't want the free throws.
That one's a little bit more interesting.
I think that's a great idea.
That one's a little bit more interesting.
All I'm saying is it's just awful, and there has to be a solve. The
first one was stupid.
This was a tight game, and we're like, okay, cool. Like, oh, what's going to happen here? It's like,
so I completely understand it. And I remember when Popovich started doing Haka, whoever, and everything, and everyone's like so pissed.
I hate it.
But
it's not basketball.
They evolved how they were going to even go about that, right?
Like in
under 2 minutes or whatever. Yeah. So my whole point to all of this is it's strategy, though. You say that it's not basketball, and I completely agree. But if I'm an OKC fan right now, like if that was the Sacramento Kings and they won that game, guess what you're doing? You're going, I'm fine with it.
No, I won't.
I'm fine with it.
No.
Yes, you are.
This is what.
No, really put your heart there.
This is what's bullshit about you saying this is
you know it.
I love basketball.
So do I.
And that was in basketball. So even if that was my team, I'd be saying the same thing. I'm not saying that's why this game ended the way it did.
I know.
I'm just venting. If we shouldn't have got to that point yet, fine. I didn't want to be this grumpy about it, but it's just annoying.
I feel yeah.
So we talk about, Anthony Edwards, and we talk about potential fatigue. I think the other thing with Ant that I want to talk about too is just he seems like the guy this playoffs that when teams throw him different looks, it takes him a sec. He's got to feel it out a little bit. And that's why I wonder how much of the first half was like, oh, okay, I got to feel out this physical contact. Like, what can I do here?
Sure.
Because there was a noticeable difference to start the second half for him. And, maybe it's running some different shit too. But maybe it's just like, okay, I got it. And, for him, it's, I think we're going to look back on this OKC team.
Yeah.
I don't know why I feel like I'm doing a hot take.
Wait, I love this. What did you, wait,
I'm like offering suggestions about the fouling up 3
No one can get hurt in this.
No. I think we're just going to look back at this and go, yeah, Ant struggled against one of the best defenses we have seen in decades.
That's what I was going to say. When you even started the fatigue conversation, which is totally fair, right? But you're like, when you play teams like this, and I thought about, I took a step back, little bubble went in the air out of my brain. And I was like, how many teams have this many fantastic perimeter defenders like this? Oh, popped.
Thank you.
My thought, where'd it go? Kidding. But it's so stupid. But my point to that being is it's like you're just kind of going into that thought. It's such an elite defensive team.
Yeah.
And that is together from the perimeter to the second line of defense, Deuce. And there have been some teams that have been able to work their magic, figure it out, break it down in some ways, one way or another. But with this, they've only gotten better and better throughout this experience of this postseason. And now they're taking on the T-Wolves, who have been really good in some of these games. If you look at the numbers,
they've had stretches,
but just not good enough. Not good enough for this type of defense. I mean, this is elite.
Yeah, and this is after they won Game 3 by 42 points, which is crazy.
Yeah,
I guess it just goes back to the other question I had. Is just we've asked multiple times: can Minnesota, if they play their A game, and OKC plays their A game, what's that look like? You know what I mean? And I think we might just know the answer. And I think it's just tough. Minnesota did some great things tonight. It's tough when you're down 3-1. You're not searching for great things after a game if you're a fan. But dude, Nickeil Alexander-Walker, if you're a Minnesota fan, you're like, well, he's a free agent, so he's not going to be here next year.
We're just basketball fans, so we can talk about it.
I loved his aggressiveness, and it's like, hey, if Ant's going to get all this attention, you guys have to go out there and try to make plays. And the shot making from DiVincenzo, from Nickeil Alexander-Walker was great, but it wasn't just knocking down threes. The activity that they were bringing defensively to compete too. They stayed in this game because, they may have 23 turnovers, but they did a great job on the offensive glass tonight, right? They had 30 second chance points, 19-19. You said it felt more, but they were able to stay back in this game, and they won the second half because of how they were rebounding the ball, how that unit without Julius Randle was playing out there.
And you say how they were rebounding ball. It was truly, when you look at that number, you think about, wow, what an effort. But no, with your eyes tonight, it was like, what an effort by Dante DiVincenzo, flying in there, doing the things that you've kind of missed in this series from him a little bit. He looked more like himself tonight, not just because he had 21 points off the bench and was knocking down some of his thres, but I really felt
getting in the paint, moving the basketball.
Yep.
That's when they're at their best.
Different type of energy. Yep. And then Alexander Walker, just, his shot making ability tonight when they needed it most. And it felt like a second chance opportunity would come out. And how those 3-pointers are off of an offensive rebound. A team, a person is just in rhythm, in motion. And it felt like that was happening for Alexander Walker. So those guys having their game that they needed to have. Naz Reid, it didn't feel like he was just purely awful like he's felt in some of these games in this series when he's 0 for 7 from beyond the arc. He was competing. Yeah, he truly was. So I thought there was just a good energy from these guys, but from your two, Julius Randle, Anthony Edwards, just not enough. Julius Randle doesn't have as big of an excuse as Anthony Edwards does, in my opinion.
Yeah.
And it's tough. It is. And you just like almost can't have
He's been so good.
I know.
He's been so good in the playoffs.
I know.
Julius Randle's been spectacular, but he's had 2 like awful games.
And it's
awful.
And in so many different ways too. We were talking about too before the game. We're like, man, he's matured so much. Just even with the way that he carries himself in post-game press conferences on the floor. Like even when you see him lose it a little bit and get frustrated and chaotic, I feel like he does a better job of bringing it back in. So like tonight, obviously he was frustrated. He was played off the floor in so many different ways. They just need so much more from him. And sometimes that's not just shooting the shit out of the basketball. Yeah. That's just like being there for your teammates in different ways if you can.
It's weird to say it feels like they kind of lost that game in the first quarter because holy shit, that fourth quarter, I'm just looking at the numbers. Yeah. The fourth quarter was 41-38 Minnesota.
No.
41-38.
Didn't even feel like that.
What was the fourth quarter shooting percentage? Because that must be insane too. In that fourth quarter, we were just talking about all the shot making, right?
Yeah.
Fourth quarter, OKC shot 65%.
Holy
3 of 6 from downtown, 9 of 10 at the line.
Okay.
SGA had 11 in the quarter. Jaylen Williams with 14, Chet with 9. Minnesota scored 41 points. 50% shooting, but knocked down 6 of 13 from 3. They also had 9 offensive rebounds in the fourth quarter.
Damn.
16 second chance points in the fourth quarter.
They battled.
Isn't that insane?
And it felt like OKC still had it just under control even when those moments were happening.
But I just felt like the first quarter when they allowed 37, it felt like such a gut punch because some of the looks that OKC got were too easy. I'm just like, Jaylen Williams has space. And look, credit OKC for attacking some mismatches, but it's just like, hey, Biggs, you got to be up a little bit more on these guards because SGA is comfortable taking a 3. Jaylen Williams is definitely comfortable taking a 3.
It felt like Rudy Gobert was in drop at times where I understand the fear of like, all right, SGA is going to blow by me, but you got to find that balance. Julius Randle did it as well. I think Naz Reid did it as well. It's just like that one little centimeter, that one extra inch where you just need to be in the right spacing where your hands have to be up. Yep. They can't be down here because it's going to be helpful for you to backpedal and get in position that you need to get in. They got to be up, which is so much harder to move laterally, but you have to find a way to do it. The bigs weren't doing that, but at the same time, with some of those easy moments for OKC, they were getting them, but then they were also making them. Jaylen Williams was just absolutely fantastic tonight, making his shots from the start.
Physical
as shit.
I know defensive, but he played loud on offense.
Yes,
tonight.
he did.
He ended up with 34 points. He had 5 assists, 3 steals, 3 rebounds, 13 of 24 shooting. I like an aggressive Jaylen Williams too. 6 of 9 from downtown.
Well, that number, how many there? If you go back and watch some of those made threes or even some of the missed ones, I felt like they were just far too open, and that felt a little bit more like an effort thing.
Sometimes, but you know what was also hard? If you go back and look at some of them,
they had to sink in the middle for SGA.
They were doing a lot of SGA and Jaylen screening for each other.
Okay.
And so when you start seeing that type of shit, I mean,
where do we go?
How to cover, right? It's like, oh, we got to stop SGA on the drive, but wait, that's Jaylen Williams. Either way, they could have defended it better, but Jaylen, I thought, also did a good job putting the ball on the floor, has that tough turnaround. Again, just the physicality. And the SGA was really good, obviously, too. He had 40 points. He had 10 assists, 9 rebounds. I know there's every game, it's foul baiting this, foul baiting that. I can be honest, I thought in the first half, the officials did a good job not doing that. This crew, Zach Zarba, James Williams, Bill Kennedy, these are the 3 guys I kind of like calling playoff games. I wish they'd just call it
You say kind of, yeah.
I mean, I really like them. Yeah. Because I just like tonight. Zarba always does a good job of not calling bullshit.
Yeah.
He's going to miss. Everyone misses stuff.
Yeah.
But I liked for the most part, we mentioned early what we didn't like. How the game was officiated. They allow these guys to play with an edge out there.
They allow them to play. It's like you just said.
And not taking the bait. is the other point.
And that can be difficult at times because you do see some bodies fly. And I thought even in the beginning of the game when some, or it wasn't in the beginning of the game, it was like toward the end, and I forget who it was that just kind of, it was SGA and someone else just kind of running into each other, right? And I'm just like, that's just physical basketball play. They called it a foul. SGA like goes to the line or whatever the hell happened with those. Like those moments are going to happen. Bodies are going to fly. They're going to feel like they see something. All those things are going to happen. But I'm with you. For the most part, it just makes the game more entertaining when I'm able to see both teams equally play physical and really slow each other down in so many different ways because it was that physical and stay composed and sportsmanship and good
and still make shots.
And still
both teams shot over 50%. Minnesota shot 51%. They hit 18 of 41 from three. Oh, those numbers just kill you because those are so good and you lose the game. 50% shooting from Oklahoma City tonight. They were 16 of 37 from three, so great mark for them. 16 of 21 at the free throw line. But I thought the other guy tonight, Chet Holmgren, fantastic. It felt like OKC could answer any punch that happened.
Yes.
And it felt like several of those moments happened with Chet Holmgren. You know, he knocked down a couple of big threes. He had that 1 second chance opportunity, which again, you're just like
when he was cutting through, and I think Wallace found him.
Yeah,
that was early on.
Yeah, Wallace got the offensive rebound, okay, and then Chet, no one touches him. It's
slashing
just like,
through the middle.
That play killed you a little bit, and then there was also one I think in that first half that led to a Jaylen Williams three where there's just a miscommunication. Or somewhat, Gobert played good defense on a switch, but no one got the rebound, and it leads to an open three. And you're just like, I felt like there were many of those moments from Minnesota tonight.
Yeah. And not to question their effort like mentally, but I just felt like when those moments were happening physically on the floor, I had some questions.
Morgan.
When arms were down, when they didn't run out on someone, when they didn't get that extra rebound, when it's like, I understand the timing of the ball bouncing can be a thing at times, but there's a few.
It all goes back to this.
What?
OKC is they're a boa constrictor, and they just
You've
wrap
used
around
this before.
I probably have. I'm sorry. Did you want an original one tonight?
Yeah.
OKC is like
it. This is good. Think of something like big animal. It doesn't even have to be big. Oh, it could be a tiny animal. Deadly. And I don't know what that would be.
I wasn't going with another animal.
Oh, okay.
Anyway. I got you in a sleeper hold, and they're just slowly sucking the life out
go
of
with
you.
a wrestler. What wrestler would they be?
I don't know, Morgan.
Okay.
They suck the life out of you. And like, so it's like, what? Minnesota might be tired in some of these places. Like, yeah. Are you kidding? They're hard to guard. Mm-hmm. They could space you out, and defensively, they have so many different guys. And that's why when I know there's a portion of NBA fans who don't like OKC.
I think that's so weird.
Well, I think part of it is the SGA dynamic that I think can be annoying. Like just flat out when it's like, okay, we're calling that, like stop selling it. But what outweighs it for me, they are so connected. They play so hard defensively. Mm-hmm. And I just haven't seen a team so connected on that area. Like where it's just like, oh my God, do they just have so many different guys? Who are you hunting?
Yeah.
Hardenstein? Okay, we'll take him off the floor and we're going to go small. We're going to play Jaylen Williams at the 5.
Alex Caruso starting the second half once again.
Yeah, exactly.
I mean, they can do anything, but like you talk about them being connected on the floor. It shows with the way that they're even connected off the floor. You just go to their post-game interview with Lisa Salters, and like she's asking Jaylen Williams a question. He had a short answer, and he's like, "What? Do you want more?" And then SGA is like, "I got it, Lisa. Basically, I got it, Lisa. I'll elaborate for you." And then all he's doing is just pouring love on his teammates, and it's like you can tell it's from the heart. It's not like he's just doing that because this is what a leader says. It's how they feel about one another, how they respect one another. I know they do that in every single post-game little interview thing, but you feel different after a game like this where the other team's playing its best damn basketball, almost their best damn basketball, not their best players necessarily. But OKC just really finds a way to play better.
It's incredible.
It is.
And you learn something new every day, Morgan, right?
What did you learn?
I learned today, and it's great. I've never heard this before.
Oh.
So apparently, Shai Gilgeous-Alexander and Nickeil Alexander-Walker, get this, they're fucking related.
Cousins. Who would have thought?
We waited until game 4
to tell us?
Dude.
Why wouldn't they say it on the broadcast
I just
at
feel
least
like
20
it's
times?
something you mentioned. I would a few times a quarter throughout every game just to
every time the two, like, there's a foul on one another, and then we come back.
There's a family dispute.
Come back, throw up the photos of them two, so then we really understand.
Where's Steve Harvey? It's the family feud. Dun, 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 dun.
No, stupid.
Okay.
But also, we're really mean about that. But it does feel like the producers are like,
it's not mean.
We've got to push it out. We've got to push it. And it's just like, you shoved it in our face. And we get it.
So next up, game 5.
It's like, next up what?
In Oklahoma City. Tough place to play.
Tough.
Breaking news. And Minnesota's down 3-1. 1 win away from the NBA Finals for the Oklahoma City Thunder.
For some, this is kind of one of those stupid takes to say, but I think it will tell me more about OKC if they close it out there. You know, people just like kind of say that, and then they're like, well, obviously it would mean a lot for Minnesota, and it would say, oh shit, like they don't die. But I think for OKC, because of all the questions of like, where do they really stand? Are they, do they play the right way? Are they ready for this moment? That's where I'm going with that one.
I think they are. I'm seeing the growth. The Denver series too will look back on, and I think that's going to age well. It just shows you the greatness of Nikola Jokic.
Truly,
he's got guys banged up around him, and they went 7 games, and this young OKC team is like trying to slay this giant, like doing everything they can. And in game 7, it's a little guy, Alex Caruso.
It's the little guy.
The wee old little guy coming up big. I don't know. I just feel like there's been moments of growth. Like we've seen it.
I agree.
The bounce back from them. And it's like, oh, they're maturing. And like tonight, and what is a big game after you just lost by 42 points, the trio of young guys combined for 95 points.
Yep.
It's pretty special. And I'm excited to see what happens. The Knicks-Pacers series is still interesting. We'll see if the Knicks can tie it up at 2 games apiece.
Wild.
But I mean, if it ends up being Pacers Thunder, I think we're getting a good series. I think OKC is the favorite. I do think the Pacers have a shot though, because I think they play,
I don't think you can count them out.
I think they play a style, like they're up tempo, like they've got the shot making, they've got the size, they've got the spacing, and they play good defense too. There's like similarities between the two teams in my opinion.
But they've also, like we keep talking about the experience and what OKC has learned through each postseason series or whatever game even. And it's like Pacers are the same exact way. And you're like seeing them grow. Like
that's why it'd be crazy to see them in the finals together. Cause like, oh wow, look at these teams 3 years ago. 3 years ago, Indiana was in the playoffs and like OKC was a play-in team.
I would love to see that. But no preview yet.
I'm not previewing. I'm just saying.
Slow it down. We'll do a preview when we do a preview.
The road teams, we've seen them have success. Mm-hmm. I hope the Knicks tie it back up. I want this thing tied. I want this thing going 7.
I know.
Great games in that series.
More fun for all of us.
Anyway, this is fun talking about this one. Is there anything we missed, Morgan?
No, except I hope you come up with a new analogy for the boa constrictor.
I couldn't think of like a submission hold.
That's why I was like, wrestling, isn't it?
I know. You would think I would know, but I'm trying to think of a submission hold. There's probably a really obvious one I'm missing.
Like
how they get you in a figure 4 leg lock, because that doesn't work. Because it's like being in the sharpshooter.
Oh,
it's tearing your ligaments.
Who is that?
The sharpshooter?
Is that the smaller dude that? Why can't Shawn Michaels?
Oh God, that's so offensive.
Who's the sharpshooter?
It's Bret Hart who feuded with Shawn Michaels, who does sweet chin music.
Oh shit! I just insulted.
You can come up with any wrestling finisher. That's what Oklahoma City is doing.
Got it. Copy.
What are your thoughts on tonight's game number 4? Did we miss anything? I'm sure we did. Let us know in the comments below. Hit the thumbs up and subscribe.
Deuce and Mo. Deuce and Mo. Deuce and Mo. They tell you what they know. Deuce and Mo. Deuce and Mo. Deuce and Mo. The podcast that you know.